Hey everyone, this is Hal Krosman with Screenwriting U, and today we're going to be talking about what sells your TV series. An incredibly important question. And in fact, I'll be honest with you, this question's so important. I ask 25 TV producers right in a row this one question. What sells a TV series? And I asked them specifically, what sells a TV series if it's an unknown writer? Because that's probably where you're at. Most of the people that we've been working with start out as unknown writers, and then over time, great things happen for them. So that's my hope for you tonight, that what we're going to do is going to make a significant difference. Here's what we're going to talk about. First, what really sells TV projects? I think we just need to get right to the point on that. Then the difference between can't sell versus easy to sell. I'm going to tell you, most of the scripts that I have seen, especially the ones that are in contest, and I'm not saying anything bad about contests, but most of the ones that are entering contest are in the can't sell category. And it's not because their writing's bad. It's because they never thought about what does it take to sell. In fact, very likely, you were probably told not to think about that. I've had conversations with multiple screenwriting teachers where they'll say, "I can't believe that you talk to people about the market and what they're supposed to do to sell their scripts. I don't do any of that." And I'm like, "Why not?" And they'll say, "Well, that's the way I was taught." And it's like, okay, so they were taught that 30 years ago, and they're still teaching people that, do they drive cars from 30 years ago? Is their sewing machine still that? Do they use computers today? They're just off. And I think it's important that you know how to make something easy to sell. Then I'm going to give you 6 ways to sell your TV series so that you at least have some paths that can help get you there. And finally, we'll talk about the upcoming program, which is Bingeworthy TV plus AI. This set of words, I know that this was really popular about 10 years ago, 7 years ago, maybe even 5. The words have gone out of popularity, but I'm going to tell you the model itself is incredible. So let's do it. What really sells TV projects? Most people think that it is the pilot and the TV Bible, which are not bad answers. In reality, those are important. They really are. But what sells it is your pitch. Do you have a pitch that can sell to audiences through Instagram, through TV commercials, all that kind of thing? So let's go on. If you don't buy this yet, it's all right. Just start thinking about it. In my opinion, here's the way it goes. This is all the presentations that we've done that have been successful to producers. You start with your pitch, and your pitch gets them to say, "Oh, that's something I could sell." And if they know that that's something they could sell, they then request either the pilot or the Bible. And it depends. Different producers do it differently. If one of them works well for them, then they request the other one. If that one works well for them and you have a pitch that can sell, then they move forward with you. And we've had lots of writers who have had that happen. And we've had people who have made deals, who have worked in writers' rooms, and a lot of it just came down to they had a better pitch than the other 99 people who were turned down. So this is important. Let's continue with this. For the majority, and this is, think about this for a second. What caused you to watch a TV series, right? Think about the last series that you watched. I'm going to say very likely it was either a recommendation from somebody you knew or somebody you saw online. It was a trailer, or it was some kind of promotion that caused you to click the button and watch. And very likely, if you're on Netflix, sometimes they'll promote something and you just click it and you go. But it's like one of those three. That's probably the vast majority of what you've watched and what you've seen. If it's something else, feel free to let me know because I would love to know if there's something else that is a major thing that gets people there. But now that I just want you to be thinking about this. If like the show, Cheryl and I are watching a show right now, and this particular show, I had two things that happened. One was there was a recommendation from a friend who was part of the production, and he said, "Hey, this show's coming out. It's my new favorite." And then he had to tell me that he was also part of the production. So he recommended it, and I'm like, yeah, of course he would be promoting it. Then I saw an article about it where they recommended it. And I was like, okay. So then I watched the trailer and we started watching it. And this was 2 days ago. We have 4 more episodes to go in this season. We're probably going to do them tonight, right? But it's like these are the things. So the reason why I'm saying this is incredibly important. And here, let's just go. A friend or a source loved it, or a review loved it. Trailer, you saw a 30-second to 2-minute video, right? Promotion, an ad campaign, or an announcement. So those are all the things that might have gotten you there. And notice this, it was a pitch that got you to try the TV series. Even if your friend told you about it and they said, hey, you got to do this, then they probably added some kind of pitch about what they loved about it, right? The reason why we're talking about this is because this is what producers are thinking. They're thinking, if we can get this into a 30-second TV spot or a 15-second Instagram, right? Or a 2-minute trailer in a way that causes people to go, oh my God, I got to see that. We're in business, right? It's going to be worth all the money we spent on this TV series if we can just get enough people to watch it. And it all comes down to the pitch. You didn't read the script before you watched it in most cases. I know every once in a while we have. But in most cases, you didn't read the script. Most of the time, if you're watching it for entertainment, it was just that. It was either this that got you there. That's it. Now, knowing that, pitches drive views and purchases, right? And this is what the producer's thinking. Audiences watch TV series because of pitches. Producers request and read your writing because of the pitch. To sell it, you need a great pitch. Now, just think about that for a second, because I have had so many people say, well, I wanted to write the script before I pitched it, or I don't really need a pitch. If they just read the first 5 pages or 10 pages, they'll be interested. And it's like, yes, but for them to make that decision, especially if they don't know you, they need to hear something great. Just start to imagine that because it makes a big difference. Now, there's more for you to know. This guy, I talked with his representation at one point, and I heard this story, and I was like, wow, how did he break in again? And they told me the story, and I was pretty amazed at it. So let me just tell it to you. He wrote scripts for 10 years. He was actually in the ad business. He wrote screenplays for 10 years without any success whatsoever. And during that period of time, he was committed. He loved writing. It was what he did, to feel better, to entertain himself, to de-stress, all that kind of thing. And then he had the impending birth of his daughter. So this was a deadline that was happening in his life. And he had this realization. He said, you know what? If I don't make a deal now, I'm probably going to spend most of my entertainment time with my daughter, and it'll never happen if I don't do that. And he said he spent a couple of days walking around in that state of depression. And then he woke up one morning and he had this breakthrough. He had this one breakthrough that changed everything. So this is important to know and understand. Here's what is his breakthrough. His breakthrough was, for the first time, he was going to create a pitch that will sell and then write from that pitch. Now, up until that point, he had been writing scripts that an idea came to him. He just wrote it. He did like everybody else. He was just having a good time writing. But he said every time he got in front of a producer, and he was trying to market multiple times, multiple scripts. He said every time he got in front of a producer, he knew it just wasn't going to work. And they all turned him down, just like almost everybody else. So every time you hear somebody say it's not possible to break into this industry, remember, just add a couple of things to the end of that. It's not possible to break into this industry if you don't have a great pitch, right? Just add that. And by the way, if you're thinking, wow, this guy only thinks of one thing, you guys, if you've been on any of the other classes that I do, most of my classes are all about writing, about how you create characters, how you create dialogue, how you create structure, all those kinds of things. And then we have some classes that are about how do you break into the industry? And this is one of those. So that's why we're talking about this right here. Now, let me continue. David had this breakthrough, and he had the breakthrough. He said he had the breakthrough one day. He spent the next couple of weeks walking around, brainstorming ideas, trying to find a pitch that would sell. He said once he understood it, he went, oh, that's how we do it in the ad business anyway. We go pitch the customer. We don't end up doing the actual business until after we have something that can sell. So he thought, why is this different? Now, so he created this project called Safe House. You may have seen it. It had these two guys, Denzel Washington, Ryan Reynolds. It did fairly well. Let's see how it did here. By the way, it caused a bidding war. This is just one of quite a few bidding wars that David ended up having once he had this one breakthrough. So the budget on it was $85 million because it had 2 stars in it. That's important to know. And it was a pretty intensive movie. Its gross ended up being $208 million. And after that, by the way, this guy was a star in our industry. But I'll tell you, when he made his second deal that had a bidding war, this one hadn't even been cast yet. He had a bidding war on this one, and then a couple of months later, he had a bidding war on the second while they were going through and talking to actors to find somebody. So his projects, the way he created them, the way he marketed them, is what gave him his success. Now, let's go a step further. Then he created this, and we're in a TV class right now. We're talking about TV. This is a TV series that he created called Designated Survivor. You may have seen it. It had Kiefer Sutherland in it. This one aired on ABC for 3 seasons, and it gave David the right to write 53 episodes and get paid for them. Now, I don't know what he got paid on those, but you know what? Any show that makes it past the first season is a 1 in 100 in this industry. He made it to 3 seasons. They're talking about possible 4. But this is something that's amazing. And by the way, he's had like 8 other projects that have been made. I'm just talking about these right now. This one now is on Netflix, Amazon, and Apple. So he is continuing to make money every single day, which is amazing. It's like where we want to go. Last thing I want to say about this. Your question to ask. What was the breakthrough that changed everything? Now, I gave you a light version of it. But this is the key to your success if you're trying to sell. So just be wondering that, because even if you don't agree with something I say on this, I'd be walking around in this for the next week thinking about it. What's the breakthrough that could change everything for you? Because just that may shift for you. You may suddenly find, here's the big thing I've got to do. This is, maybe you find an area that you're great at, and suddenly you write from that. But the breakthrough that he had, I think, applies pretty much to everyone. And that, again, we're back to this. Pitches drive views and purchases. It's like you're looking for, what is it that's going to get you where you want to go? So let's just see. So here's his breakthrough. Every major decision must sell. Before we go any further, I've been involved in 3 or 4 contests. At one point, we had 2,000 people submit scripts for one contest. I was one of the ones that promoted it. I was a part owner in that particular contest. 2,000 people submitted scripts, and when we went and looked through them, there were only 7 or 8 in there that I would say were marketable, that could sell. All the rest didn't have the criteria in their pitch to be able to sell. And if you don't get it in your pitch, nobody's going to read the script. So that's really important to understand. So first thing, and this all came from watching an interview with David, and it came from 100 other interviews that I did with producers, TV producers. First, you need a series high concept. Incredibly important. And I'll show you something in a moment on a way you can generate that. But you need a series high concept. You need something unique that the moment you say it, people kind of light up. Then you need the series conflict to be something that's really interesting. The show that we're watching right now, which I'm not going to say the name of it yet until I finish, but the show we're watching right now had a series conflict that was complex, deep, had multiple layers to it. I was like blown away by what they did with it. Then you need the lead characters to be something that can easily sell to major actors. And this doesn't mean I want this actor to play. This means if they looked at this project just from the beginning, if they just saw the pitch and who their character is, they would say, oh my God, I got to be part of that. And then when they read it, they'd go, oh my God, it's so much better than I thought it was going to be. And then they commit, right? You need an intriguing world. And this, a lot of times people say to me, I say, yeah, you need something we haven't seen before. And they'll say, there is nothing we haven't seen before. When people say that, please know they're just saying that their imagination is limited. Don't listen to those people. It's like even what we're doing right this moment. This didn't exist at one point, right? Zoom, there was a point where Zoom didn't exist. There was the point where AI didn't exist. There are things that you've never seen, that we've never seen, that if we just saw that one thing, we'd go, oh my God, we've got to make a show out of it. So you need that. You need to find a world that's intriguing enough that it causes people to go, yes. And I got a model for how to do this, and so many different strategies that you can use that you will find that. And then you need a series title that hooks us, that we go, the second we see it, we're watching it because of that. Uh, and if you can make that happen, you're in business. Now on Safe House, it's like, okay, what does that mean? Safe House. And then what happens is, as soon as you know the concept, you get what the Safe House is, and that changes everything. So the series title, either it just the name of it instantly sells us on it, or the name plus understanding the concept, the high concept, these two working together, you get and you go, oh my God, that's a great title for it. And this matters, by the way, because this is a big part of the marketing. And then there's 40 other of these decisions. Every one of them, let's go back to this. Every major decision must sell. If you take that rule on and you know that you're creative enough to do it, you will end up benefiting in such a big way. Because think about this. Most people coming into this industry, they go, you say, okay, what's your pitch? And they want to tell the whole story. And the reason they want to tell the whole story is, first, they are deeply engaged in that. And second, they want to hope that they can get you engaged in it. What we need is something different, right? It's like let's say I go see my friends and they say, so yeah, I heard you have 3 daughters. And I say, yes, I do. And I really like them. And I say all kinds of things about them. And then we turn to the next person and they say, did something happen with your daughter? And the lady says, yes, she just won an ice skating championship. And it's like, hands down, she just beat me. she just won the contest of who has the best daughters. I may have amazing things to say about mine, but I just didn't say them in that moment. And it's like, that's what a high concept is. You are starting with something that lights people up. And then every single one of these need to do that also. Now let's take it a step further. And by the way, these are what I call, it's actually a little more than 40, the 50 most important decisions of your project. We'll talk about that later. So here's the other part, your TV Bible. I see TV Bibles all the time. And people will send me a TV Bible. Like we'll be in one of our classes that's specifically working with that. And they'll send me a TV Bible and I'll look at it. And inside of half of a page, I'm no longer interested. By the end of, if I just glance through it, it's there. They wrote their TV Bible like everybody was told to 10 years ago. The examples that we see online for the most part are those. And then they also acted like, well, this is just something that I have to throw at them and it has no meaning and it doesn't have to be great just as long as they can see something, because that's what a lot of pros told people 10, 15, 20 years ago when they would come up with a series pitch. They would get the producer to say yes, and the producer would say, oh yeah, also send me a TV Bible. And they would put something together in an hour and send it off. And it's like, no. Half of the producers that we've gotten projects into, they read the TV Bible first. And let's be clear, I'll tell you why. The reason they're reading the TV Bible is because they want to know that everything listed here sells, that everything is designed to increase the chance of this project getting made. So I'm going to tell you, when we do a TV Bible, it's incredible. So first, it starts with a marketable pitch. So this is the thing you created that makes your project so special, that makes it stand out, and has it be something that if somebody just hears the pitch, they go, wow, I'd be willing to buy that even if the writing isn't great, I can get somebody else to write it. So this needs to be incredibly strong. Then there's the characters, again, that are designed to attract bankable actors. So inside the TV Bible, we have this unique moment where we're not showing the characters in action. We don't have them in a scene, or, we're not writing lines of dialogue for them. The moment that we have is we get to tell them why this character is amazing in a way that would cause them to say, I can sell this to a bankable actor. I hope you get that. So I'm going to spend like 1 page listing out all the main characters. And with each one, I'm going to give it an exclamation or an explanation, excuse me, explanation that is designed to have the producer go, I can sell that. I went in at one point to Comedy Central. We took a project in, and everything that I'm talking about here, we did with it. And I pitched it on the phone. The VP there got me in the door. He brought in another VP who was there to kill the deal. That was that guy's whole purpose. The guy picked up our TV Bible. He did a couple of things, but I'll tell you one of the things he did. He went to look at the characters and he says, I read these things all the time. And he says, I usually come away thinking, wow, that was boring. And I said, oh, I understand. I know how that is. And he goes, good. And then he looked at one character and he read it and he goes, wow. He says, I saw an actor when I read that. Now that means he already knew there was somebody bankable that he could get it to, who, if they looked at that, they would go, yes. He did about 3 other tricks. We were ahead of him on all of them. And the reason we were ahead of them was just because I'd done so many interviews with producers, TV producers. And so I knew what they needed. And that's what all this is about. So back to this. Then you want to make sure the pilot is the ultimate inciting incident for this series. And that, that's the purpose of the pilot. The pilot's job for an audience is to create the inciting incident that sends us on the journey that is 4 or 5 seasons long, right? And so if your pilot doesn't do this, people are going to turn it down. And these are just things that it's like, once you know them, once you understand them, it's pretty easy to be able to make good decisions. Once you know what needs to be here, and here. Your season 1 episodes, let me tell you the best advice I ever got on this. I'm talking with a producer, and he says to me, he said, listen, and I was doing an interview at that point, but I had a backpack with me. And in it, I had a TV Bible and I had a TV series just in case they ask me for something. So anyway, so he's saying, he said, I do a test. When somebody sends me a TV Bible, I do a test. And I said, what's the test? And he goes, I just open up to a page and put my finger down anywhere on the page, and I read whatever that paragraph is. And he says, if that paragraph doesn't blow me away, I'm done reading it. And I was like, 1 paragraph on page 4, you would do that? And he goes, well, he says, if they pitched me something and I went, wow, absolutely, we're doing this and we need to make sure the TV Bible's good enough, then I won't do that. But he said, if it's something where I don't know the person and I don't know what's going on, I'm just going to use that test. And if it's not good enough, I'm out of there. So I pulled out my TV Bible and I handed it to him, and he did it on 3 different pages. And on every single one, he was looking mainly at episodes. On every single one, he went, wow, that was good. That was really good. Now, it's not that I'm brilliant or any of that kind of thing. It's that I've been interviewing all these producers, and in the midst of it, we came up with a way to write these things that just make them incredibly attractive to producers. All they have to do is just look at just one episode, right? And then, by the way, when you're doing this on a TV Bible, you'll have, 6 episodes on a page or 4 episodes, depending upon, the next page will have another 4 and that. So they're getting a chance. There's like 1 or 2 paragraphs for each one. And if you make those incredible and you make them so interesting and so compelling, you just doubled your chance that they'll move to the next level with you, or they'll look at other projects from you. Now, then there are 10 others that go into the TV Bible. Again, every single one of them needs to sell this series without saying it. So you can't say, this series is amazing. You'll love this episode because you can't say any of those kinds of things. What you can do is you can write this in a way that when they read it, they can't stop thinking about it. And when you're that good, they're going to want to work with you. That's what happened with David that we were talking about. Now that we know that, let's talk about 6 different ways to sell your TV series. In just a moment here. Okay. Number 1, use a highly marketable script to get an agent or manager. This is the most common path that people know. And it's the easiest when it works, and it's the hardest when it doesn't. So I've seen writers send average stuff into 50, 70, 100 different agents and managers and not get anything. I've also had writers who wrote something the way we're talking about writing them, got it into 1 and got representation. So it's possible. It's absolutely possible for you to be able to do this one. Now, let's go a step further. This is another one. We had a writer who did this. She won a contest. The contest was the Final Draft Big Break contest. And she won it for a TV series that she had written in the class that we're talking about today. She had gone through that class, written this TV series, done everything I told her to do, got it to where the thing was amazing, won the contest, and that particular contest had 2 managers as judges. Both of them read her script, her pilot, and came back to her the day after she won. And both of them wanted to talk to her about representing her. So she called me up and she said, I have this situation. I've got 2 managers who want to work with me. Can you help me on this? And I said, absolutely. Because when somebody goes through our major programs and they have a potential deal in front of them, I am happy to walk them through the process. So I talked with her about what to talk with them about, what to ask them on the first call. She got on Zoom with both of those managers, one at a time. And she asked the questions at the beginning, and she said the things that we talked about, in that meeting. At the end of the meeting, both of them said they wanted to represent her. They confirmed it at that point. And she came back to me and she said, I don't know what to do. She goes, I like both of them. They both seem like they know what they're doing. So I gave her 3 questions to ask both of them. And the questions were about how they would work with her and how they would help her make her career happen. She went back to each of them, had a meeting. She called me the next day and she said, one of them answered the questions and he was good. And she goes, but when I got to the second one, he had a whole conversation with me. We mapped out a complete plan for my career. He gave me 3 different directions I could go. And she goes, I just couldn't help it. I just said, wow, I would love to work with you. And he said, the feeling's mutual. Let's do it. and he signed her right then. And they've been working together ever since. So this is absolutely possible also, especially if you pick a contest that has either producers or managers as judges. And if it's producers, if you've got a TV series, make sure that at least some of them are TV series producers. So then number 3, shop it to the big TV producers. And there's lots of TV producers out there that are making things happen. And on this, there are going to be some that are going to be closed. They're just not looking at anything because they have so many possible projects. But if you keep looking, you'll run into a few producers that are not only doing fairly big shows, but are looking for next year's work. And if you catch them at the right time, you can get in those doors. These doors are harder to get into, by the way, than some of the others I'm going to tell you about. So let's go to those. Number 4, then you shop it to producers with a streamer deal. And here, I'm not talking about the big TV producers. They have a deal with everybody. I'm talking about smaller producers that have made something on a streamer. If they got into Netflix with their movie, if they got into Netflix with a TV series, they can do it again. So you go find out who are those producers. You can look them up on IMDb Pro or on IMDb itself. Find out who are the producers who do similar stuff to what you're doing, and have made something with Netflix or Apple or whoever. And so that's all you got to find. Once you find that, then that may be a producer that's on your list. Let me say one thing. We've got 4. I'm going to give you 2 more, but I just need to say this. A lot of times people will say, "Oh, that didn't work." I had a guy who did this. He told me, he said, "I tried that and that didn't work." And I said, "What did you try?" And he said, "I tried that thing. I was going for the streamers." And I said, "So who did you go to?" He says, "The streamers." So that's the first thing. So he went to Netflix. He tried to call Netflix. And they said, "No, they don't even look at things." And I said, No, we said the producers with a streamer deal." And he goes, "Oh, I tried that and it didn't work." And I said, "Okay, tell me the producers that you went to." And he goes, "Oh, I only went to 2. And it's like, okay, there's the problem. There's the problem. If you're wondering whether you can succeed or not, our writers that have made deals, and almost every writer that has made some kind of deal, has gone to 30, 40, 50 producers and found one that worked for them. And that's what you do. When Cheryl and I were producing and we were taking projects out, we were going to major production companies, we would shop every project to at least 30 producers. And doing that, and you shop it all at the same time. You go out to all of them at the same time. Doing that, you end up with a really good chance you're going to end up with some kind of deal. So, and by the way, in the midst of doing that, you're going to learn so much also. So let's go to number 5. Shop it to small producers who have worked with the big TV producers. We made one deal that was, we were trying to get into this one big TV producer and they wouldn't accept our call. Now, we had been around for a little bit at that point, but we hadn't had a TV deal yet. And so they were just like, "We don't know you." So what we did was I went to lunch with a producer in town who had worked with that TV producer. I pitched him my project and he went, "Wow." He says, "I've been looking for a project to take to them." I'm like, "Good, let's work together." And that was it. We signed an agreement. He then went and pitched it and got it in the door. Sadly enough, it didn't end up getting made and produced, but it was like we got it in the door. We made something happen on it. We made an agreement with them. We just didn't get to the production on it. But that's how this works. This is there's small producers answer their own phones, right? They check their own email. They're looking for something to take them to the big time. You might have exactly what they need. So just give yourself that chance. Now, then there's another. Partner with a produced writer who has an agent or a manager. We have what looks like, it looks like there's going to be a deal on this. We have a show that we're really hoping on. The writer, she partnered with a produced writer. So our writer partnered with a produced writer who then got the project to his agent. His agent, it took 6 months before his agent read it. We were like, she was talking about leaving and not doing the deal and all kinds of things. And I said, no, just have the writer remind the agent again. She went back and did that. And 2 days later, the agent came back and said, I can sell this. So we're waiting to see what's happening on that. But you've got 6 different ways to make something happen now. All you need to do is create some magic, right? And that's part of what this is about. So let me show you something. Let me just walk you through something real fast. And to introduce this, let's just say this. Part of the job of being a TV writer is being able to brainstorm and being able to brainstorm at a high level. Another part of it is being able to write at a really good high level. And both of those are important. And then here's the third one. The third one is being able to market yourself. And so if you have all 3 of those, or if you can attain them or learn them, then you can absolutely succeed in this industry. If you are missing any of them, then your job is to do whatever it takes to master that particular part. Now, having to do with this demo, I'm going to take you over and show you AI in a moment. There's a lot of people talking smack about AI. And it's like, okay, I understand people inside the industry are worried it's going to take their job and that kind of thing. But they've got a union that has done an amazing job on making sure that studios couldn't use AI against writers. That was the most important thing they were trying to accomplish. I want you to know, in that same document, when the WGA made the deal with the AMPTP, which is the studios, the deal said that writers could use AI, but producers and studios couldn't when it comes to scripts. Now, if you understand that, because I looked at it for a while, it was like, wow, they seem to be very anti-AI, but they write that into the agreement. And I've talked with a couple of managers about this, and I've talked with a couple of big writers about it, and they all say the same thing. They said, well, they wanted their writers to have that option. Because who knows where this is going and what it's going to be about, right? So if they wanted their writers to have it, you should have it too. Just be thinking about that. Now, you don't want to use AI to write your script. I just want you to know that. You want to use it to brainstorm. So let me show you this. So just before we got on here, I did this. I went over to ChatGPT, and this is the project that I put in. I've got a whole big prompt above this so that it'll do all the things that we want it to do. And just so you guys know, this is something that I have 2 development teams that we've been working together on for 22 months on creating prompts, creating things that make it easy for writers to be able to brainstorm at a high level. Anybody can create an average prompt. That's not going to get you there. So here we go. So the genre is a sci-fi thriller. The main idea, an alien ship beams up 100 children of billionaires, causing mass panic. But the real purpose is to train them to save this planet through a series of fabricated conflicts that they must navigate. So essentially it creates these situations where those kids are in dangerous and difficult situations and that kind of thing. And they have to be able to go through it. And if they do, if they live, they become amazing. So I ask it to do that. I ask it to create something for me. So watch what it created. First, it gave me a little different title. I didn't have this title. I'm not sure what I think about that title yet. But it gave a title and, explained why. Then it gave me a high concept for it. When 100 children of the world's wealthiest elites are abducted by alien intelligence, Earth believes it's a ransom event, but the truth is far stranger. So that's an interesting opening hook, right? It's like it creates a question. It tells the main things that are going on. It creates a question. They added some other information here. The catch, and it's like the kids are having to face wars and all kinds of things. The catch is they don't know that the wars are fake. And the alien character trainers don't care if they die. All right, that's interesting. I didn't actually have that in that pitch that you saw above. It's just creating things for me. And this is all, by the way, based on a high level prompt. So its job is to create this kind of stuff. Then I had it give me an intriguing world, right? So that when you're pitching, part of what you pitch, you don't just pitch this concept. Part of what you pitch is the intriguing world. Because on a TV series, you need that to be something that, as about every 3, 4, 5 episodes, you're going to reveal something new about that world, or you'll reveal something new about the characters, right? So this gives me the intriguing world. The kids awaken inside the Ark, a city-sized alien structure floating outside space-time. Each training cycle drops them into a hyper-real artificial world. A flooded Earth, okay, ruled by corporate warlords, a post-gravity megacity. Post-gravity megacity. Wow, interesting. Where betrayal means instant death. A scorched wasteland where oxygen is currency. A utopia that hides a violent algorithm beneath it. I like these. See, this is all really interesting stuff. It made this world something kind of incredible. Uh, so I hadn't even looked at it. I just ran it right before we got on. And it took like 30 seconds to go, and I thought, okay, cool, I'll just use that. Let's see what else it says. Then there's a core conflict. The children believe they're tested to save Earth. They're being tested to save Earth. They actually are being trained to decide who deserves to survive it. Okay, so that means there's a big end of the season twist or end of the second season twist right there. Then unique characters. Let's see what they've got. Oh, okay, this is cool. The idealist. So this is the daughter of a humanitarian billionaire. We actually have some of those. The tyrant. This is more common. The son of a ruthless tech mogul. Wonder who those are. The ghost. This is a child of a covert arms dealer. Okay, I'm loving that. The rebel, a kid of a media empire. All right. The analyst. This is the heir to a data mining fortune. All right. I like every one of these. And this is just the beginning of brainstorming it, right? This is what we do on day one. So then finally, what makes this show unique? And I'll stop right there. But what I want you to see is this. With me putting in just this small amount of information, it helped brainstorm all of that. Now, I like a lot of things that are in there, and I'm starting to work on this project right now. And that's what we want for you. We want you to be able to find something that from the very beginning it is so intriguing that not only does it intrigue you, but when you even say 2 or 3 sentences about it to a producer, it wakes them up and they're like, oh my God, I've got to read this. That's the job, right? That's the whole purpose of what we just did right there. So let me tell you where this goes, so you know. So what we now have from one of, I think, about 35 prompts that are part of this program, from just one, we've got enough to be able to go, all right, this is incredibly interesting. This is worth moving forward on. This is something that could be a great story and could be a TV series that could work. So let's just go a little further. I want you to know how AI is being used during Binge-Worthy TV, so you can see it. First, this is important. You are the writer. This is our stance on this. We believe in writers. I don't want AI or anybody else to replace you, not anybody. So you're the writer. The AI works for you. Essentially, here's the way I'm looking at this. I talked with a whole bunch of A-list screenwriters, and I realized in the midst of it, it's not just that they have more experience, it's that they have an extreme advantage over any other writer on the planet. And I'll tell you what it is. I'm talking with this one A-list screenwriter, and I said, so how do you normally work? What's your day like? And he says, you know, first thing I do, I get up in the morning and I eat some good foods. I go for a run. I come back. And he says, then I meet with my assistant. And I'm like, okay, so your assistant is, and he says, oh, she's a failure. She's a writer who hasn't yet made it yet. He said it a different way. I almost said it, but it's like, so he has an assistant who has written 7 screenplays herself, has shopped 4 of them inside the industry. She knows people in the industry, all of that. So she knows what she's doing. He said, I meet with my assistant. He says, we brainstorm whatever's coming next for me. And then I start working on it. So he's got a brainstorm partner who's his assistant. Most of the writers, A-list writers I know, have an assistant who do all kinds of things for them that range from brainstorming projects to brainstorming pitches to taking their laundry out and stuff like that. And, you know, and those people work their ass off because they want to make it inside this industry. So they've hooked up with an A-list writer in order to do that. But the A-list writer has that. Then I said, okay, so let's say, you know, you come up with a bunch of pitches and you're not sure if they're good enough. What do you do? And he goes, oh, I just call my manager. I said, okay, so you call your manager and what? And he said, well, I call my manager. I send over a bunch of the pitches. I say, take a look at them. Let me know which ones you think you could sell, and we'll do this. I said, okay, all right. And then they come back to you. And he says, yeah. He says, sometimes they come back and they say, I like this one, but you need to change it like this. I like that one, but please change this one part. All the rest aren't marketable. And he says, okay, so now I'm looking at 2 projects. All I do is make the changes that they recommended. And it's like, wow, another advantage. They've got a manager who's walking them through things and making sure that it's something that can sell, somebody inside the market in doing this. Now, by the way, there are other A-list writers that are also hooked up with actors that work for specific actors or work with specific actors. So I was talking with one and she said, I said, so you're great at character. And she goes, well, yes, that's because I know how actors think. I know what's going on. And so I asked her to tell me about that. And she said, you know, sometimes we work together on their projects and I get paid for it. Sometimes they look at my projects and tell me first if they want the role, and second, if not, what should I do to improve it? And there we have it again. they've got an advantage that you and I don't have. So please stop feeling sorry for them on what's going on this AI thing. You need an advantage. You need something or somebody working with you and for you to be able to make it happen. So let's walk through this so you can see what this class provides. This is part of it. We've got professional strategies, right? First, for high-level brainstorming, you just saw that. It's like, you know what? That project, it could have taken me 2 weeks to come up with stuff that was even close to as good as that. And it took, I think, 2 minutes instead of 2 weeks. This also, the AI itself right here gives you endless options. And the prompts that we have are incredible. They are beyond what anybody else out there has. I haven't seen anything that's even close to them having to do with writing. It makes it easier for you to make decisions. The way I do things, if I'm brainstorming with AI, I print it out, I go to lunch, I mark out everything I don't like, then I look at the things that I do like, and out of those, look to see, okay, maybe I had 20 ideas there. I marked out 16 of them. The other 4 are great. Pick the best one, move forward. And it makes sure you never get stuck. If you've ever had a problem with writer's block, if you've ever had a problem with getting stuck and spending days or weeks trying to figure out one thing, you know what? That'll be solved instantly. You will have the ability to go to AI, brainstorm it, tell it exactly what you want, argue with it if you want, do whatever it is, but you're not stuck. You are moving forward. Now, we never let AI make our decisions. You're the writer. You make the decisions. You improve the things that are there. You're just using AI to brainstorm. That's it. That's all it is. And what the main thing that you're doing is you're using the best prompts in this industry to be able to create some of the stuff like what you just saw a moment ago. So here's the class. Let me just walk you through it, and then I'll give you a special. First, it has 63 lessons. So it takes you through the entire process from brainstorming ideas all the way to how to market your project. It has 63 lessons, 25 videos, and 30 AI prompts. Each one of these are about brainstorming one part or another, and we have gone into unbelievable detail on that. On our development team, we had 2 people who were in writers' rooms at that moment on big shows that you know. We had 1 studio exec who all he does, and I won't say which studio, but all he does is take pitches from writers all day long. So we brought him in. When he said he was willing to do it, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible. We know exactly how they think in their pitching process. We know exactly what they need to hear. We know exactly how the meetings go, the whole thing. So when we were working on these, and especially when we were working on the ones specifically about pitching, he was just amazing at that. So yeah, okay. So with every lesson, you're going to end up learning another key to being able to sell your show. So here's the way it goes. Module 1. This is the first module. You're going to come in with what you just saw a minute ago. So what I'm going to ask you to do before you come in is brainstorm at least 5 projects, and if possible, brainstorm 10. We've got a month before this class starts. If you brainstorm one project every 3 days, and I would brainstorm it like what you just saw, and then, because I'm going to send you this prompt, and then go through it, work with it, mark out the things you don't like, improve the things you do like, make it something that you go, okay, I really like that. That's pretty cool, because it's going to start with your idea in the first place. Then take a day off and do it again, and then do it again. So when you come in, you're going to pick the best out of 10 projects. Right off the bat, that just gives you 5 times the chance of success. Most people only have one idea and they don't get to compare it to others. They don't get to pick the best. So if that idea isn't the best possible idea, they're doing something that's less. So this will change your life, I promise you. Here, you're going to go through the 50 most important decisions. I showed you 4 or 5 of those, but every one of these decisions need to be done in a way that sells. And I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do that. And you'll have AI to help you brainstorm stuff that's outside the box that can sell. From there, we go to module 2. After you've got your 50 most important decisions, module 2, now you're going to create the TV Bible, the TV Pitch Bible that meets producers' needs. This came from, I got on the phone. We'd already created a TV Pitch Bible that was pretty good. I got on the phone and I called a producer friend of mine and I said, I need to know how producers think about this. I've talked with a couple, but we didn't get down to the details. I was wondering if I could interview you. And he goes, sure, absolutely, Hal. And he says, you know what? And he said, if you'd like, I can put you in touch with my funding source also. And I said, why? And he goes, because they have certain criteria for what needs to be in a TV Bible. And he says, almost everything that comes in doesn't meet it. And I said, so what do you do if it doesn't meet the criteria? And he goes, well, most of them, we just say no immediately. And I said, okay, what about the other ones? He goes, well, the others, that's like a top 1% kind of thing. He goes, what we do is we have to assign somebody in the office to write that TV Bible to meet the funding source's needs. So I was like, okay, yes. I interviewed him. I interviewed about 15 other producers, but I then went and interviewed his funding source, and it was like lights on moment. The funding source guy walked me through, here's exactly what I need to see. Here's all the stuff I don't want to see. And by the way, every one of these things needs to tell me that this thing is going to make money without saying those words. He said, everything I see needs to be something that I go, wow, to. That's going to get funding. That's going to work. That's going to get a streamer to say yes. And it's like, okay, now we know. So that you're going to get all that information here, and your TV Bible will be designed to get that producer the funding that they need. That changes everything. Now, module 3. Now it's about your brilliantly complex pilot outline. I know that there's some people who tell me, I'll say something about outline and they'll go, oh, I don't outline. And it's like, oh, so you're just going to write features. And they'll go, no, I want to work in TV. And it's like, no. If you've ever been in one of those rooms, you're going to find out that they outline 5 to 7 times as much as they write. Most of their time is spent outlining. And that's why their shows are so incredible, because they can, instead of having a 50-page document that they have to figure out how to do all the setups and payoffs for the whole series, but they have to do it in this pilot. Instead of a 50-page document, they're doing it in a 10-page document. And they can make all kinds of things happen in that. So we went in and interviewed a bunch of producers and showrunners about what goes into this, what exactly they need, how they do it, all of that. That's what this module is about. By the time you're done, you will come out with the best outline you've ever written in your life, even if you're somebody who writes outlines on a regular basis. This will change that. You will see things and discover things that you'd never saw before. Our outline is 5 layers deep. Most people's outline is 2 layers deep. And that's why they're not selling. So that's important. Module 4. Now we're going to write the mesmerizing TV pilot. And it's going to be mesmerizing. And there's two reasons it's going to be mesmerizing. The first one is right there. You created an outline for it that is incredible. That anytime somebody reads it, they just go, "Oh my God, this is going to be an incredible episode." So you've got that in the first place. So you're already starting so far ahead of the game. The second reason is because all these the steps I'm going to take you through, which you're actually in module 4, you are going to do 5 different drafts, and every one of them is going to be about a very specific thing that produces this result. So every draft, you'll start from an outline, you'll go to a first draft that's just about making sure you get everything on there and every scene has been written. From that point on, every single draft, you will be building in depth, you will be building in curiosity, you'll be building in intrigue and mystery and characters that have layers that are going to be revealed. You will love what you accomplish here. And finally, module 5. Now it's about how do you market to producers and streaming services. So I gave you like just a little tip of the iceberg on that today. But we've got a complete model for how to do it, how to create all the pitches that you need to pitch. And there's not just one. If somebody goes in with just one pitch, they're in real trouble. So you will be able to create all the pitches. You will know exactly how to build a network full of producers that you can work with. And if you're going for agents and managers, we'll give you how to do that also. This is about a month away, plus or minus. Again, that'll give you the chance to create at least 10 different possible projects, of which one of them is going to be something that will make you a star. That's our objective here. And as long as if you just take the steps I'm giving you every step of the way, by the time you're done, you're going to be at least twice the quality of writer you are right now. And if, by the way, if you've never written a TV pilot or a TV Bible before, then this will have you coming out way ahead of most people who have written even a couple of them. So the price on it is $12.99. This is a class that is 5 months long, and you are going to write the best script of your life so far. There is a special. This is the special for the first 10 people that sign up. You can get in for $5.99. That's more than half price. So that saves you, I think it saves you like $700. So if what you want to do is to be great at TV, go over here, pick one of these links, write it down. This one is the normal one, bit.ly/BWTV-AI. That gets you in at the $5.99 price. This one is the payment plan one, bit.ly/BWTV-payments. I think this is $110 a month for 6 months. So you end up paying just a little bit more, not that much. It's like $50 more or something like that. And that gets you in the program on payments. This program, again, is designed to shift everything about how you write and give you so many skills that are at a professional level that you'll be able to do anything you want. Plus, with all the AI prompts, every one of these is about how do you brainstorm this one part that most people just take the first idea that popped into their mind. They take the first idea and they run with it. And it's like, wait a minute, I can brainstorm 10 ideas, 20 ideas, 30 ideas for that same thing and pick the best of 30. And now what I've got, if I do that, let's just say you do this. Let's say you do 10. With every one of these modules, there's probably 5 or more of these other than this one. On the outlining and the mesmerizing, you are not using AI because that's you writing. But on these 2 modules and on the final one, the pitch, all of that you can use AI on. So what if in the 50 decisions I make, I pick the best of 10 for every single one of them. Imagine for a moment how great your project will be. And you're coming from, first, you're coming in with high AI prompts, but second, you're coming in with the understanding that came from all the interviews I did with TV producers and showrunners and TV writers and all the stuff that we learned from talking with the people at the studios, and our development team. So just every step of this is going to be insight moments for you. You're going to have breakthrough moments on a regular basis. And by the time you're done, you will be writing at a level that you may not even believe is possible right now. So what would happen if you did that? Now, again, just go over here, write it down, bit.ly/BWTV-AI. Write that down, put it in your browser where you normally put a web address, click return, and begin this adventure. Within a couple of minutes after you sign up, probably within 5 to 10 minutes, you will get the pre-class lesson that will give you the prompt that I just used to brainstorm all the things that you saw there. And when you even do your very first idea, just take your very first idea, run it through it, you'll be blown away. I just looked at that one. I didn't get a chance to look at it beforehand, but as I was reading through, I'm like, wow, there's about 7 ideas in there that I'm going to keep. And I had already started thinking about this project. Those ideas are better. I'm going to use them because they're part of my brainstorm process. Once you have that, you will be able to create something so far beyond where you've thought before, and you'll be so proud of who you are as a writer. One last thing. Every single time you use one of those prompts, every time you do one of these lessons, your job is to learn something new that makes you stronger. So this isn't about we rely on AI. It isn't about we're hoping we're going to be good enough. It's about if you just go, all right, my job is just to learn with every step I take. With every pilot you write, your job is to learn. But I'll promise you this, your pilot coming out of this and your TV Bible, they're going to be so good. You're going to be standing on the sidelines going, all I got to do is put this in front of somebody and they're going to be blown away. And then my hope is that you take that step and that you do whatever it takes to get it there. We will show you how. And your job is just to take the actions. And you'll be putting things in front of them that are incredible. So if you're standing on the sidelines, come join us. There's a money back guarantee. If you go through the first 5 days of this actual program and you don't like it, just let us know. We'll give you your money back. But I promise you, every single step of this program is going to blow your mind. And by the time you're done, you're going to be like, wow, I just jumped above almost everybody on the outside that's trying to get in. And now I qualify to work with these producers. You can do it. So great hanging out with you guys. Hope you got a lot out of this. And again, I promise you, taking this step will be one of the best things you ever did for your writing. With that, this is Hal Krosman with Screenwriting U, and I'm wishing you all the best. Bye-bye, everyone.